You can get a little lucky, but you need to be in those situations to get that luck. I think the key motivation that pushed me through this entire process is just knowing how my parents have sacrificed their careers. Whenever I felt like I was wasting time, I just needed to just push.
You're listening to East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast.
Welcome to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast. As the name implies, the purpose of this podcast is to get a better understanding of individuals who have Pakistani roots who are currently working the West. We'll explore both traditional and non-traditional career paths. We'll also get a better understanding of what groups these individuals might have joined that has helped excel them in their career and their personal and professional lives. My name is Azam, and I'll be the host of this podcast. A little bit about myself. So I was born in Karachi, and I moved to UAE and then Canada back in 2009 in middle school. When I came to Canada, I did struggle in terms of grades. I was getting low 70s to mid 70s. And the real reason for that was that I definitely struggled in the social aspect, making new friends and just the environment in general. I would say by grade 9 and 10, which is high school in Canada, I got used to the environment as well as increased my grades to a point where it was in the low 80s to set myself up for grade 11 and 12 to get those high 80s for getting into university later on. So I got exposed to accounting back in grade 10. What interested me in that area was that you have a concise understanding of a business through the debits and credits and accounting line items. You have data, the entries that are done. And then from there, you're able to picture in a concise manner, the financial statements and just a general trajectory of a business. Ultimately, I decided that accounting was for me. And I just like dealing with numbers and just a concise manner of understanding a business through the financial statements. And so then I went to Wilfrid Laurier University. So I majored in accounting and minored in economics. In my first summer, once I completed my first year, I worked at Faisal Bank as a customer service representative in Karachi. I realized that obviously getting a broad experience might not count as much in Canada. So at the same time, I did something called a Canadian security course, which is a finance designation. And then once I came back to Canada, I spent 2 months unpaid internship at a small accounting firm. And I completed both exams of the Canadian security course, passed both of them and completed it by my first year of summer. And then for Laurier, there's a co-op program that you can apply to. And I applied to that. What the co-op program is, it helps assist students. They can try getting jobs through the pool of the university. And unfortunately, in my case, I wasn't able to get in to the co-op program due to not having that much experience in high school. Obviously, the results for 2 months was definitely challenging for me. But eventually, I bounced back and I decided to start a group called Laurier Mentor Connect. And basically what that group is, it helps assist students who didn't receive the co-op program and who was in my shoes as well. And I really wanted to get that experience from the alumni who were in the same position as me and who can help assist me and the fellow students that joined the group. As I mentioned, I was very interested in accounting. And I realized by then that the large accounting firm, it's called the Big Four accounting firms, which consists of Deloitte, EY, KPMG, and PwC. I realized that it might be a lot more challenging to get into these firms without having the co-op program. But fortunately enough, during one of my courses back in first year, there was a TA that told me he was not a co-op student, but he actually got into the Big Four accounting firms. And in that case, that was Deloitte at the time. And just knowing that someone else got in, being in the same position as me, really got me excited that if he can do it, I can definitely just push through. Maybe I might not get it, but at least I'll get it somewhere in the middle. So that was definitely my initial motivation and my push on starting the group Laurier Mentor Connect. There's some stories that some alumni have gone through this process and been successful, because ultimately Wilfrid Laurier University is a great university, regardless you're in co-op program or not. In second year, I started as a customer service representative at BMO. So this was definitely a desperate push, I would say, to get that role. I got a ton of rejections throughout the entire second year. So I applied to over 100 jobs, or approximately 100 jobs, and I didn't get a single interview from any of them. So that was definitely demoralizing. And I think so I realized that maybe not just shooting resumes and cover letters is the best option sometimes. I was like, this is not working anymore. So I decided to go to different banks. So BMO, TD, Scotia, HSBC, and just drop off my resume for the customer service representative role because I also had a Canadian security course. So hopefully that would have helped. So I kept pushing. I went to about 14 to 15 banks, ranging from Mississauga, a portion of Brampton, and then Waterloo, which I managed to hit. And I remember in Mississauga, but one of the managers was like, "You're wasting your time. You just apply online and you're not going to get a job like this." And I remember just leaving and just sitting in my car. I'm like, what am I doing? I decided, you know what? I'll just give it one last push in Mississauga and then also in Waterloo. And fortunately enough, I would say a week before final exams, I went to one of the branches at BMO and decided just to drop off my resume, give the introduction spiel with manager. I'm very interested in becoming customer service representative. I worked abroad and talk about my experience for that, and then Canadian security course as well. And from there, I was able to seal the role, thankfully. So really, really last minute call. And it was very lucky because fortunate enough, someone actually left the company for a bit. So sometimes, you can get a little lucky, but you need to be in those situations to get that luck. Yeah, then I got that role and then I got the experience. And I worked as a product analyst at BMO in Toronto. I leveraged the customer service representative and applied to the internship program at BMO and got it through there. Overall, those were all great experiences, and I got the break I needed and managed to actually get into KPMG based on all the networking I did all the way back in the portion of first year, second year, and then so on. You can see that none of the roles previously, other than the accounting internship, related to accounting. So I use the transferable skills of communication, dealing with pressure, dealing with clients that are more challenging, and so on, and noted down what key areas in audit might relate to some of the transferable skills that I just mentioned right now. So once I got the KPMG experience, I started off as an F1, so that's the junior level, F2, which is the next level, and then senior. Yeah, I spent about 3 years at KPMG and I got the CPA designation in December of 2022. Key motivation that pushed me through this entire process is just knowing how my parents have sacrificed their careers. So both of them are doctors by profession. And when they moved to Canada, obviously they had to do entry-level position. It was very challenging to see, and just knowing how much they've sacrificed, I didn't feel I could waste time. And whenever I felt like I was wasting time, I just needed to just push because I just didn't want their sacrifice to go to waste. I think so. That was the main reason that pushed me forward, and this both professionally and in my life as well. And I really wanted to get there and be as successful as I can. So I did not let them down. I really hope you can join me on this journey, and looking forward to all these interviews. I thank you for your time and I hope a great day for you. Thanks.